Hello, my name is Jen and welcome to the book Refuge. Today, as you can see by the title, I want to go over some of my favorite things to read in books. I didn't quite want to call this like trope talk because some of the things don't even fall into tropes. They're just parts of books that when a book has these elements, preferably more than one or two of them, I will almost always love this book. Like when I look at the list of my top books of the year, top books ever, they have quite a few of these elements in them. And you'll notice, if you're someone who spent any time on my channel, a lot of these books I'm going to talk about, I've talked about repetitively. And it's because there's a lot of things in them that I love. So I just really, I didn't want to make this about tropes because I don't feel like they're always done enough to even be a trope. But they're things that when I find them, they make a book really special and just make me have such a heart for it. So one more thing I want to say before I get into my list, and of course have some examples of those, is besides being a character-driven reader, I am also a relational-driven reader. So for me, that's pretty much all relationships. So you're going to see on this list that 4 of the 5 all have to do with relationships between certain people, the kind of relationship that is. Because for me, I live my life for people and I read books for people. So if the book is a great story, but I don't like the people in it, I'm not sticking around. I know some people can do that if they're like plot-driven readers. And I do need a good plot too, whatever. It's complex, the things that I like. But I just want to state that out front that for me, I am very strongly pushed by the relationships in a novel and books where I feel like the character doesn't have good relationships with anyone or anything at all. I tend to not like that character very much. That's just the thing from me. I just want to state that up front because you're going to notice a pattern in where I go through. So these are in no particular order. One of my favorite things in a book is deep, strong, and faithful friendships. Whether this friendship is just getting started at the beginning of the novel or we're coming in years into the relationship. I want to see connection. I want to see that you know each other. I want to see that when your best friend is thinking something, you know it already. Like you know what they're feeling when something's happening. And I just love that. So it's the Lunar Chronicles. For me, the relationships in this story are what make it for me. I adore every character for what they bring to not only, because it's not just about who their romantic interest is, because there's 4 books in this series, and in each one it's about a different couple gets added to the story. And it isn't just about their relationship with their love interest, it's about how they relate to the other people as well. Cinder with Captain Thorn, Scarlet with Winter, like how they interact with each other individually and as a group. There's just so many different relationships and I love it. But mostly the friendships because the friendships in here are what broke me. In the finale, in Winter, there's some stuff that goes down and the way the friends react when things happen to their friends. There's a few very touching moments that I don't want to talk about because they're big spoilers, but there's one scene when a particular character, you can skip forward till I'm not holding this book up if you don't want anything at all, but there's this one scene where a particular character is about to run out and reveal themselves to the villain. And the friends each put an arm or a hand or a shoulder against this person to hold them back because they know that it's dangerous to do that. But they all feel the pain because they all love that person that's getting hurt down there. But they know that the person who wants to run out, it would be catastrophic if they did. So they all support their friend and keep them there, and they're all grieving together. And it's so beautiful. I love it so much. So the next one is, I love animal relationships. I love when our hero or heroine has an animal companion or a mythical creature or something in their life that they maybe are socially awkward or they don't do good with people, but they love this animal and this animal is their heart. This animal is there for them. And so I have 2 examples of this, and I'll go pretty quick. The first one is I'm Still Alive, by Kate Alice Marshall, and the main character's name is Jess Cooper, and through certain circumstances she is left abandoned in the Canadian wilderness, and the only companion she has is her dad's dog, Bo. And they have to rely on each other for food and warmth and care. More so, Jess is relying on Bo for some of those things because he doesn't necessarily need her, but he is her like only friend as she is trying to survive and get revenge on the people who hurt her father. And I love Bo. He made me cry a couple times. He made me laugh because I grew up with dogs my whole life. My family has raised Cocker Spaniels and Doberman Pinschers, and I love a good furry friend. So I loved this. I wasn't expecting it, that he was going to be around for the whole book, and I really loved it. In this category, I would be remiss not to mention Aragon and his life mate, Saphira. I love the relationship between them. I also love because Saphira is sentient, like dragons are intelligent, and they can communicate directly with their dragon rider. This relationship is one of my favorite relationships in fiction. Christopher Paolini needs to write more books. He said there will be a 5th book. If I have to be 40 before I get it, it's fine, but I want it soon. But I just love the relationship between dragons and their riders when it's done right. And I think it's such a beautiful friendship and so cool. So next, this one kind of has to do with relationships, but it's not about specific ones. And for me, that is communication. And specifically, by communication, I mean either communication from the protagonist to us, like if you're in your head, are they thinking through their options? Are they going over everything? Do they use their brain for things? As well as communication with other people in the story, like how they speak to the villain, how they speak to their friends, how they talk to their family. Those are all really interesting to me, and I love a well-spoken hero or heroine who they don't have to reveal everything because you want some mystery in your story, but who is willing to explain themselves or willing to have dialogue with people and not just run around and be like, you don't understand me. And it's like, no, because you haven't said anything. So for that, I have 2 different characters, specifically Leah from The Kiss of Deception. I love her. I've talked about it in many videos lately, but the way she communicates what she wants and what she needs and what she expects of those around her is amazing to me, particularly in books 2 and 3. In book 3 is what I'm reading right now, and just the way she communicates with her love interest, with her enemies, with the people who are trying to tell her what to do. She, not only being brave and daring and all those things, she can articulate how she feels. And when she's put in positions that she doesn't want to be in, she explains why it's wrong, and she explains, why what's happening is not the way it should be. And I love that. And then also I'm bringing this back again, and that is Cinder from the Lunar Chronicles, and I'm holding up Winter because I feel like she grows into this communication. Cinder unwittingly begins leading a rebellion, and that isn't something that she ever planned for her life. She just wanted to escape from her stepmother and be able to be free, and instead, a lot of other things happen instead. But I love in this novel how in certain situations, Cinder is able to make very intelligent decisions, think through what is best for an entire planet. And that's a lot of weight standing on her shoulders, and I feel that she doesn't crumple under it. She relies on her resources, on her friends to talk through what is best, and then she executes that. And so I love how Cinder communicates with her friends and with others in the story. So, but specifically in the book Winter, because when it starts, she's just a hella mess because she doesn't know what's going on. Number 4, and this one is so important to me, and I know in books it gets pushed aside a lot because one of the ways you have conflict is to remove this, and I'll tell you what it is. For me, it is family. and good family. So not family that's abusing you or making you feel bad about yourself or any of those things, but a family that supports you and loves you. And I mean, I know in a lot of YA novels, having conflict with your family is a lot of times what sparks a journey. Like your family gets killed, or your dad doesn't want you to be an artist, he wants you to be this or that, and so you break away from them, or your parents are abused. Like there's all these different tropes that falls into a lot of times in YA contemporary, but in YA fantasy, it's usually your parents are dead and you don't have any family. So for this one I have, this is an adult novel, and that is Drums of Autumn by Diana Gabaldon. Specifically this one, sorry, it's super shiny. Specifically this one because this is when the family really gets put back together, because they have been through turmoil and they have been all over the place. And in this one, it's really about the relationship with your father and your mother and your family. And I love Outlander as a whole. This family theme continues through the rest of her novels. And I just love how well Diana writes this family. I haven't seen too many of them written that well. And granted, it's because the kind of epic that she's telling, there doesn't need to be any more. Like the dramas outside of the family and like attacking them there instead of them attacking each other, I guess. But that is a family that I love so much. So that is something I also really love, is I love family relations, mothers and sons and fathers and daughters and cousins and siblings and grandchildren. Like I love a family. I haven't found that too often in YA just because, again, usually your family's all messed up, which is okay. I mean, our families are messed up, so it's fine. But I also like to read a story where a family sticks together and solves their problems and it isn't just one. So, and then finally, I wanted to talk about, and this one is my favorite, but again, I want these other things in a book as well. And for me, because I'm a relational reader, my favorite relationship is the romance. And I love all kinds of romance. I can get behind an insta-love. I've seen it done right. I can get behind a friends to lovers trope. I can get behind a lot of the romance tropes. I mean, I have read them all and liked them all, and I've read them all and hated them all, and that's just how it goes. But for me, I really like a slow, but not too slow. Like, I don't want it to take 5 books, okay? I mean, I'm looking at you, Fallen Kingdom series. That love story took forever. But I also like it to be a little steamy without it doesn't need to be erotica or anything. But, you know, I like my steamy romances, and I'm not gonna hide it. So I have a couple options for this. This one is one I've only talked about a few times on my channel because I read it quite a long time ago, but I recently reread it and I loved it. And that is Iolanthe and Titus from The Burning Sky. They have a beautiful romance in this novel. You probably don't know what this one is about, whereas those other ones you probably heard of it. But this is about, it's a little bit like Harry Potter, but a little bit more dangerous. There is this world where he's called the Bane, and he's this all-powerful like warlock / wizard, and he kind of controls this magical country. However, there is still a crown prince, but the prince has to like cede his power to the Bane. It's weird. But anyway, there's this prophecy made by Titus's mother, who is a seer, that when this certain strike of lightning happens, the next most powerful mage will be named by this lightning strike. But it turns out to be a woman instead of a boy, and Titus wasn't prepared for it to be a woman, which that's really all I'm gonna say. I know I didn't sell that super well, but this isn't a book review. This book is super good. It is called the Elemental Trilogy by Sherry Thomas, and it's so good. This is a book series I've been meaning to do like a PSA for, like I did for Illuminae. But for now, you'll just have to take my word for it, and you should read this. But the romance in here is really beautiful, and I love it. It's full of tension, and it's beautiful. And then the other one I wanted to mention was The Savior's Champion, because the romance in this one was not super slow burn, but it was pretty slow, and it had a lot of like ups and downs, and it has a danger element because these people aren't supposed to be together, and which is the case for pretty much every book that I've showed you today. But I love Tobias, and his love interest is awesome, and I cannot wait for the next book. I love Jenna Moresi. She's a self-published author. She's here on YouTube, and she's amazing. You should check her out. But I love the romance in this. Even though this has a lot of other things going for it, it's a brutal gladiator type fight to the death type of thing, but the romance I really loved because, like I said, I like relationships, and there's some great male relationships in here too, filial relationships where they're just, it melts my heart as well. So there you go. Those are my favorite tropes maybe to see in books, but also mostly relationships, my favorite kind of relationships, and some of the books that have them for me. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. If you like this video, please subscribe. I put up new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thanks for checking me out, and thanks for coming by the Book Refuge. Have a great day. Bye.